Dr. Arya Chen's hands trembled as she stared at the impossible data streaming across her holographic display. In 37 years of xenoarchaeology, she had never seen anything like this. The signal wasn't just alien, it was screaming. "Computer, enhance audio translation," she whispered, her voice barely audible in the silent research lab aboard the deep space station Meridian Dot. The computer's synthetic voice filled the room with words that made her blood run cold. "Please, someone. They're coming back. The Devourers return. Love is the only weapon. Find the heart of..." The signal cut to static. Arya. Quote-S coffee mug slipped from her numb fingers, shattering on the metal floor. This wasn't just a distress call from some distant civilization. According to her instruments, this message had been transmitted from Earth, but not the Earth she knew. The quantum signature indicated it came from Earth's future, exactly 847 years from now. Her future self was trying to warn her about something called the Devourers, and according to the timestamp, they would arrive in exactly 6 months. Captain Marcus Steele burst through the lab doors without knocking, his military bearing softened by genuine concern. "Arya, you've been in here for 18 hours straight. The whole station can hear you talking to yourself." She looked up at him with tear-stained cheeks, her dark hair disheveled from running her fingers through it. Marcus and Arya had been dancing around their feelings for 2 years, ever since he'd been assigned to protect her research expedition. Now, looking at her broken expression, he wished he'd been braver about telling her how he felt. "Marcus," she said, her voice cracking, "what if I told you that in 6 months something is going to destroy not just Earth, but every world humanity has ever touched?" He knelt beside her chair, gently taking her hands. "I'd say that you're the smartest person I know, and if you're scared, then we all should be. Tell me what you found." Arya activated the holographic display, showing him the translated message. As the words filled the air between them, Marcus felt his soldier's instincts kick in, but something else stirred too, a desperate need to protect not just humanity, but this brilliant, beautiful woman who carried the weight of the future in her trembling hands. "The quantum signature analysis is clear," Arya explained, her scientific mind seeking refuge in facts. "This signal originated from Earth in the year 2871. The transmission required more energy than our entire solar system produces in a decade. Whatever sent it was desperate enough to burn out stars just to get this warning to us." Marcus studied the data, his tactical mind processing the implications. 6 months. That's not enough time to evacuate colonies, not enough time to build defenses we don't understand. What did your future self mean about love being the only weapon? Arya shook her head, frustration and fear warring in her expression. "I don't know. But there's something else, Marcus. The signal contained coordinates, a location in the Veil Nebula, about 3 months' journey from here. Whatever this heart is that the message mentioned, I think we need to find it." "Then we go," Marcus said without hesitation. "I'll talk to Admiral Ross. Requisition a fast ship." "Marcus, no." Arya stood up, pacing to the viewport where stars wheeled slowly past. "You don't understand. The energy signature of those Devourers. It's not just destructive, it's hungry. They don't just destroy civilizations, they feed on them, on their emotions, their connections, their love. If we're wrong about this, if we can't find whatever the heart is supposed to be, then sending a military expedition is just giving them more to consume." Marcus moved behind her, his reflection joining hers in the viewport. "Then we don't send a military expedition, we go alone." She turned, her eyes wide with shock. "Marcus, that's career suicide for you. Admiral Ross will never authorize..." "I'm not asking Admiral Ross," he said quietly. "I'm asking you. Do you trust me enough to let me come with you on the most important mission in human history?" For a moment, they stood in silence, the weight of unspoken feelings filling the space between them. Finally, Arya nodded. There's a research vessel in Bay 7, the Prometheus. It's fast, it's well-equipped, and it's scheduled for a deep space survey mission that I could redirect. Marcus smiled, the expression transforming his usually serious face. So we're really doing this. We're stealing a starship to save the universe. Borrowing, Arya corrected with a small smile. We're borrowing a starship to save the universe. 3 days into their unauthorized journey, the professional distance Marcus and Arya had maintained for 2 years began to crumble like a dam under pressure. The Prometheus was designed for a crew of 12, but the ship's automated systems could handle most functions, leaving the two of them alone in the vast expanse between stars. Without the familiar routines of station life, without colleagues and duties to hide behind, they found themselves truly alone together for the first time. You know, Marcus said as they shared dinner in the ship's small galley, in all the time, we've known each other. I've never asked you why you became a xenoarchaeologist. Arya looked up from her meal, surprised by the personal question. They had worked together, saved each other's lives, shared professional triumphs and frustrations, but they had never really talked about themselves. My parents died in the Titan colony disaster when I was 12, she said quietly. Afterwards, I lived with my grandmother, who was obsessed with ancient Earth civilizations. She used to say that understanding the past was the only way to protect the future. I guess I just extended that philosophy to alien civilizations. Marcus nodded, his expression thoughtful. I'm sorry. I didn't know about your parents. What about you? What made Marcus Steele decide to become humanity's protector? He was quiet for a long moment, staring out the viewport at the stars streaming past. My little sister was killed in a pirate raid on our transport when I was 17. I was supposed to be watching her, but I was talking to a girl instead. By the time I realized what was happening, Sarah was gone. Arya reached across the small table, covering his hand with hers. Marcus, I joined the Colonial Navy the next day, he continued, his voice steady, but his eyes showing old pain. I told myself I was going to protect everyone's little sister. Truth is, I was just running from the guilt. They sat in comfortable silence. For a while, their hands still touching across the table. Finally, Arya spoke. We're both trying to save the future because we couldn't save the past. Maybe, Marcus said, turning his hand to intertwine their fingers. Or maybe we're finally where we're supposed to be. The moment stretched between them, electric with possibility, until the ship's communication system chimed with an incoming message. Admiral Ross's stern face appeared on the holographic display. Dr. Chen, Captain Steele, you are both ordered to return to Meridian Station immediately. Your unauthorized departure has been classified as desertion and theft of military property. Return within 72 hours, or you will be branded as fugitives. Arya looked at Marcus, fear evident in her expression. He can track us. The ship's transponder. Not anymore, Marcus said, moving to the control panel. I disabled it an hour after we launched. He turned back to her with a grim smile. I guess we're officially outlaws now. Despite everything, Arya laughed. 2 days ago, I was a respected researcher with a promising career. Now I'm a fugitive from the law racing across the galaxy to prevent an invasion from the future. My grandmother always said I needed more adventure in my life. Marcus moved closer to her, his expression serious. Arya, if we do this, if we keep going, there's no coming back. Even if we save humanity, we'll probably spend the rest of our lives in prison. I need you to be sure. She stood, moving close enough to him that she could see the flecks of gold in his green eyes. Marcus, 6 months from now, if we fail, there won't be anyone left to put us in prison. But if we succeed... She paused, gathering her courage. If we succeed, then maybe we can figure out what comes next. Together. The word hung in the air between them like a promise. Marcus cupped her face in his hands, his thumb tracing the line of her cheekbone. Together, he repeated. And then he kissed her dot. It was a kiss filled with 2 years of suppressed longing, with the desperate intensity of people who might not have tomorrow, with the fierce joy of finally being honest about their feelings. When they broke apart, both were breathless. "I love you," Marcus said simply. "I've loved you since that first day when you told off that admiral for interrupting your research. I should have said it sooner." "I love you too," Arya whispered, her scientific mind marveling at how 3 simple words could feel more important than any discovery she'd ever made. "I was just scared. My work was safe, predictable. You were this force of chaos that made me want things I'd never dared hope for." They spent that night holding each other in the captain's quarters, talking about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears about the future. For the first time since receiving the signal, Arya felt something stronger than terror. She felt hope. 2 weeks into their journey, the Prometheus encountered something that shouldn't have existed. A derelict ship drifting in the void between stars, its hull scarred by weapons that left marks unlike anything in human military databases. "The OWL configuration is completely unknown," Arya reported from the science station. "But the quantum signature... Marcus, this ship has been here for over 800 years." Marcus studied the tactical display, his military instincts on high alert. "Could it be connected to your signal?" "It has to be. The energy residue matches the same quantum frequency as the message from future Earth. This ship was destroyed by the Devourers. They docked with the derelict, their environmental suits protecting them from the cold vacuum that had claimed the ancient vessel. Inside, they found horrors that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The ship's crew had been human, but they had died in ways that defied understanding. Bodies were drained not just of life, but of something fundamental, as if their very capacity for emotion had been surgically removed. "Look at this," Arya called from what had been the ship's bridge. She was examining a personal log device that had somehow survived the centuries. The final entry is dated 3 days before they died. The holographic recording showed a woman in an ancient Earth Fleet uniform, her face gaunt with exhaustion and terror. "Captain's log, EFS Aurora, day 847 of Deep Space Patrol. The things that attacked the colonies, they're not just killing people, they're harvesting them. Every person they take becomes part of their collective hunger. We tried to fight them with weapons, with shields, with everything we had. Nothing worked. The only thing that seems to hurt them is emotion. Strong emotion, love, rage, sacrifice. It disrupts their feeding somehow. If anyone receives this message, remember, they can be fought, but not with conventional weapons. The heart is mightier than the sword." The recording flickered and died. Arya and Marcus stood in the ancient bridge, processing the implications. "The heart," Marcus said slowly. "Your future self said to find the heart. What if it's not a place or an object? What if it's about emotion itself?" Before Arya could respond, their suit communicators crackled with an urgent message from the Prometheus. "Warning! Multiple ships approaching. Configuration unknown. Recommend immediate evacuation." They raced back to their ship, launching just as sleek, organic-looking vessels emerged from hyperspace around them. These ships moved like living things, pulsing with a sickly bioluminescence that made both humans feel nauseated just looking at them. "Those are them," Arya breathed. "The Devourers, but they're early. They weren't supposed to arrive for another 4 months." The alien ships began to circle the Prometheus like predators testing their prey. Marcus pushed the engines to maximum, but the Devourer ships matched their speed effortlessly. "They're not trying to destroy us," Marcus realized. "They're hurting us." "Toward what?" Arya asked, and then her instruments gave her the answer. "Oh God, Marcus, they're hurting us toward the Veil Nebula, toward the coordinates from my signal." "A. New voice filled their communication system, not heard but felt directly in their minds. It spoke without words, conveying meaning through pure emotion. You carry strong love, strong connection. You will feed us well when we reach the heart. Your emotion will power our final feast on your species. They can sense our feelings, Arya said, her voice filled with horror. Our love for each other, it's like a beacon to them. Marcus grabbed her hand, his expression fierce. Then we use it. If love is the only weapon that works against them, then we love each other so hard it burns them. Marcus, that doesn't make sense, doesn't it? Think about it, Arya. Every story about defeating ultimate evil, every myth, every legend, it's always love that wins. Not because it's weak, but because it's the most powerful force in the universe. As the Devourer ships escorted them toward the nebula, Marcus and Arya held each other in the pilot's seats, pouring every ounce of their feelings into their connection. To their amazement, the alien ships began to shudder, their bioluminescence flickering dot. The telepathic voice returned, but this time it carried notes of confusion and pain. Your emotions, they burn. How do you make love into fire? Chapter 5. The Discovery. That changes the game 3 days later. They reached the coordinates from the future signal. What they found there defied every expectation. The heart wasn't a weapon or a device. It was a space station. But not just any station. It was clearly of human construction, built with technology decades ahead of anything that existed in there. Time. And according to Arya's scans, it was inhabited. There are life signs aboard, she reported, her voice filled with wonder. Human life signs, hundreds of them. As they docked with the mysterious station, they were greeted by a woman who looked exactly like an older version of Arya. The same dark hair streaked with silver, the same intelligent eyes, the same determined expression. "Hello, past me," the woman said with a sad smile. "I'm Dr. Arya Chen, and I sent you that message from the future. Welcome to the Temporal Research Station. We've been waiting for you." The older Arya led them through corridors filled with people from different time periods. Scientists, soldiers, civilians, all working together on a massive project that sprawled throughout the station. The Devourers exist outside normal space-time, future Arya explained as they walked. They can move between past and future, feeding on civilizations throughout history. Every time they attack a species, they learn more about how to hurt that species. By the time they reach Earth in our timeline, your future, they had perfected their ability to drain human emotion. They entered a vast laboratory where dozens of scientists worked on devices that hummed with familiar energy. Marcus recognized the quantum signatures immediately. "These are the same frequencies as the communication networks back home," he said. "Exactly," future Arya replied. "We discovered that quantum entanglement isn't just about connecting places, it's about connecting hearts, minds, emotions. When people are truly connected, their love becomes a weapon that the Devourers can't consume or corrupt." She led them to a central chamber, where a massive crystalline structure pulsed with warm golden light. "This is the heart, not just of our defenses, but of our species. Every act of love, every sacrifice, every moment of genuine human connection throughout history has been stored here. It's our collective emotional heritage, and it's the one thing the Devourers can't devour." Arya stared at the crystal, tears streaming down her face. "It's beautiful, but why show us this? Why bring us here?" Future Arya's expression grew grim. "Because the heart isn't complete. There's one element missing. One crucial component that we could never find in our timeline. But you have it." "What?" Marcus asked. "True love," future Arya said simply. "Not just love between two people, but love that's been tested, purified, made stronger by sacrifice and choice. The kind of love that chooses to risk everything for the other person. We had connections, partnerships, even marriages. But by the time we built this place, we were all soldiers in an endless war. We had forgotten how to love without fear. She turned to face both of them, her aged eyes bright with hope. Your love, what you've built together over the past few weeks. What you're willing to sacrifice for each other and for humanity. That's the final component. If you're willing to give it to the heart, it will complete the weapon that can destroy the Devourers, not just here and now, but across all timelines. Marcus and Arya looked at each other, understanding the terrible choice they faced. To save humanity, they would have to give up their love, not just end their relationship, but surrender the very feelings that had given their lives meaning. There has to be another way, Marcus said desperately. I spent 40 years looking for one, future Arya replied sadly. This is the only choice. Your love, freely given, can become the seed of love for all humanity. But once you give it to the heart, those feelings between you will be gone forever. Chapter 6. The unexpected climax that shatters. Everything, as the Devourer fleet closed in on the station, Marcus and Arya stood before the heart, their hands clasped tightly together. Around them, scientists and soldiers from multiple timelines, prepared for what might be humanity's final battle. I can't do it, Arya whispered, tears streaming down her face. Marcus, I just found you. I can't give you up. Then we don't, Marcus said suddenly, his face illuminating with desperate inspiration. Arya, what if your future self is wrong? What if the heart doesn't need us to sacrifice our love? What if it needs us to amplify it? That's not how the equations work, future Arya protested. The quantum matrix requires a complete emotional donation. No, Marcus interrupted, moving to the heart's control console. Look at these readings. The crystal isn't depleted, it's hungry. It doesn't want to consume love, it wants to be fed by love, continuously. Arya's scientific mind caught up with his intuition. He's right. The energy signature isn't designed for a single massive input. It's designed for a sustained connection. Marcus, what if we don't give up our love? What if we give ourselves? Before future Arya could stop them, Marcus and Arya placed their hands on the heart simultaneously. Instead of draining their emotions, the crystal began to resonate with them, amplifying their feelings and broadcasting them outward. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Every human on the station suddenly felt the depth and purity of their love, not as an invasion, but as a reminder of what they themselves were capable of feeling. Couples who had grown distant remembered their wedding days. Parents thought of their children. Friends recalled moments of absolute trust and support. But the most amazing change was in the Devourers themselves. As the wave of amplified human emotion reached their ships, instead of feeding on it, they began to change. The telepathic voice that had haunted them before returned, but this time it carried wonder instead of hunger. What is this feeling? This warmth? We had forgotten. Before we became Devourers, we too felt this. We too loved. Through the station's viewports, they watched in amazement as the organic ships began to transform, their sickly bioluminescence shifting to the same warm gold as the heart. The creatures inside were remembering who they had been before hunger consumed their species. Impossible, future Arya breathed. In every timeline we studied, the Devourers were irredeemably evil. Maybe, Marcus said, his hand still connected to the heart, still connected to Arya. You were fighting them wrong. You tried to destroy them with love. But love doesn't destroy, it redeems. The lead Devourer ship approached the station, but instead of attacking, it docked peacefully. The being that emerged was humanoid, but clearly alien, its features showing the ravages of centuries spent consuming others' emotions. But its eyes were filled with tears. We were like you once. It communicated directly to their minds. Before the hunger took us, before we lost ourselves to desperation and greed, your love, it reminds us of what we threw away. Can we learn to feel again? Chapter 7. The happy ending that heals. Everything. 6 months later, Arya and Marcus stood on the observation deck of New Meridian Station, watching ships from dozens of species work together to build something unprecedented, a galaxy-wide network of heart crystals, each one powered by the genuine connections between the beings who operated them. The former Devourers, who now called themselves the Restored, had become humanity's most valuable allies in the project. Their centuries of experience with emotional energy, once used for destruction, now served to help other species connect more deeply with each other. Admiral Chen, Captain Torres said, approaching with the daily reports. Arya had been promoted to lead the Galactic Emotional Research Division, while Marcus commanded the new Unified Defense Fleet, a military force built around protection rather than destruction. Any word from the temporal research teams? Arya asked. Good news across all timelines, Torres replied with a smile. The Devourer threat has been neutralized in every reality we can detect. Some species that were completely extinct have begun to reappear as the timeline heals itself. Marcus wrapped his arm around Arya's waist, marveling at how natural the gesture had become. Their love hadn't been diminished by powering the heart. Instead, it had been refined, strengthened, made more precious by being shared with the galaxy. There's something else, Torres continued. The wedding preparations are complete. The ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow at 1400 hours. Arya blushed, still amazed that their private relationship had become such a public symbol. Beings from across the galaxy wanted to witness the wedding of the couple whose love had literally saved the universe. More importantly, every ceremony they conducted seemed to strengthen the network of hearts, creating ripples of connection and joy that spread from system to system. Nervous? Marcus asked as Torres departed. Terrified, Arya admitted with a laugh. Facing down universe-devouring aliens was one thing. Getting married in front of representatives from 47 different species is something else entirely. We could still elope, Marcus suggested playfully. Steal another ship, find some quiet planet. Marcus, steal, Arya said in mock seriousness. We are not starting our marriage by becoming fugitives again. Again? He grinned. I thought we were borrowing that ship. Their laughter was interrupted by an alert from the communication system. Future Arya's face appeared on the holographic display, but she looked different, younger somehow, her eyes bright with joy instead of weighted down by endless war. Hello, past me, she said with a genuine smile. I wanted to give you the final report from our timeline. The changes you made have propagated throughout all of history. Wars that lasted centuries have ended in peace. Species that destroyed themselves have found second chances. The galaxy is healing, and it's all because 2 people chose love over fear. What happens to you now? Arya asked. To your timeline? We're not sure, future Arya replied. Some of us might fade away as the paradoxes resolve themselves. Others might find ourselves in new timelines where we get second chances at the lives we lost to war. But honestly, I'm not worried. Whatever comes next, it will be built on the foundation of love you two created. That's worth any sacrifice. The transmission ended, leaving Marcus and Arya alone on the observation deck. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars and thinking about the impossible journey that had brought them here. Do you ever regret it? Marcus asked. Giving up your quiet research life for all this chaos? Arya considered the question seriously. You know what I regret? I regret that it took the end of the universe to make me brave enough to tell you I loved you. I regret all those months we wasted being professional and proper when we could have been this. Marcus pulled her closer, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. Well, we have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time. Just our lives, Arya teased. Marcus, we're connected to a quantum network powered by eternal love. I'm pretty sure we get forever. The next day, as they stood before an altar made of crystallized starlight, surrounded by beings from across the galaxy, Marcus and Arya exchanged vows that were broadcast through the heart network to billions of connected souls. I promise, Arya said, her voice steady despite her tears, to love you not just in this lifetime, but in every reality, every timeline, every possible future. I promise to choose connection over fear, hope over despair, and adventure over safety, as long as I'm choosing it with you. I promise, Marcus replied, his own voice thick with emotion, to protect not just you, but the love we've built together. I promise to be your partner in discovery, your ally in battle, and your anchor in any storm. I promise that no matter what the universe throws at us, we'll face it together. As they kissed, sealing their vows, the heart network pulsed with golden light that could be seen from orbit. Across the galaxy, couples held each other a little tighter, families shared moments of gratitude, and friends remembered why their connections mattered. The former Devourers, watching from their place of honor at the ceremony, wept tears of joy as they felt genuine love for the first time in millennia. They had been creatures of hunger, and now they were learning to be creatures of joy. Epilogue, the love that echoes through eternity. 10 years later, Dr. Arya Steele sat in her laboratory aboard the exploration vessel New Prometheus, analyzing data from the latest heart crystal installation in the Andromeda galaxy. The network had grown beyond their wildest dreams, connecting not just species within the Milky Way, but reaching out to other galaxies entirely. Mom, look what I found. A small voice interrupted her work as their 7-year-old daughter Sarah burst into the lab carrying a sample container. Arya smiled at the child who had inherited her father's green eyes and her mother's insatiable curiosity. What is it, sweetheart? It's a rock from the planet we visited yesterday, but watch what happens when I put it near the heart crystal. Sarah placed her sample near the laboratory's small heart relay, and immediately the rock began to glow with soft bioluminescence. It was responding to the emotional energy in the room, specifically to the love between mother and daughter. That's amazing, Arya said, genuinely impressed. You might have discovered a new form of empathic mineral. We'll have to tell your father when he gets back from the bridge. Tell me what? Marcus asked, entering the lab with perfect timing. His hair was now streaked with silver, and laugh lines had appeared around his eyes. But his smile when he looked at his wife and daughter was exactly the same as it had been on their wedding day. As Sarah excitedly explained her discovery, Marcus moved to stand behind Arya's chair, his hands resting on her shoulders. She leaned back against him, marveling at how natural their connection still felt after all these years. The Galactic Council wants to know when we'll be ready to extend the network to the Magellanic Clouds, Marcus said quietly, not wanting to interrupt Sarah's animated explanation of her rock's properties. Give us another year, Arya replied. I want to make sure we understand the long-term effects on interdimensional stability before we expand that far. Through the laboratory's viewport, they could see the breathtaking sight of a heart crystal array in full operation. Dozens of crystalline structures orbiting a star, each one glowing with the emotional energy of the species connected to it. It was beautiful beyond description, a testament to what could be accomplished when beings chose love over fear. You know what I love most about this? Marcus said, watching the light show outside. What? 50 years from now, 100 years from now, there will be children who grow up never knowing what it's like to live in a galaxy where love isn't the most powerful force in the universe. They'll never know the fear we grew up with, the isolation, the sense that we were alone among the stars. Arya turned in her chair to face him, their daughter still chattering happily about her glowing rock. Do you think they'll remember us? The people who come after? Marcus cupped her face in his hands, his thumb tracing the familiar line of her cheekbone. I don't think it matters if they remember our names. What matters is that they'll inherit a universe where love is built into the very fabric of space and time, where connection is stronger than distance, where understanding is more powerful than weapons, where hope always wins over despair. As if summoned by their words, Sarah looked up from her rock with the solemn expression that children sometimes get when they understand something profound. Daddy, is it true that you and Mommy saved the universe? Marcus and Arya exchanged a look, remembering that desperate journey so many years ago, the impossible choice that turned out not to be a choice at all, the moment when they discovered that love shared is love multiplied, not divided. No, sweetheart, Arya said, pulling Sarah onto her lap. We didn't save the universe, we just reminded it how to love itself. As the new Prometheus sailed through the stars, carrying its crew of explorers and scientists and dreamers toward new discoveries, the Heart Network pulsed steadily throughout the galaxy, a rhythm like a heartbeat, like a lullaby, like a promise that no one would ever have to face the darkness alone again. And in the quantum spaces between dimensions, in the places where love becomes physics and emotion becomes energy, the echo of two people's choice to trust each other continued to ripple outward, creating new possibilities, new connections, new hope with every passing moment. The universe had learned to love, and love, as it turned out, was the most powerful force of all. The end.